Hello, listeners. Welcome to season 2 of the Masters Decoded podcast. I am Manish Merchant, the chief decoder. I want to thank you for the overwhelming response to season 1. Your feedback and encouragement led me to bring you season 2 of the Masters Decoded. The season will tap into how technology, artificial intelligence, and other socio-economic factors have impacted my guest careers or passions. My next guest on today's episode is Neeraj Gaba, popularly known as Mr. Gaba. He has an MBA from Leeds University and over 22 years of experience. Mr. Gaba has displayed his creative bandwidth across platforms like TV, live events, digital, print, etc., donning multiple hats of a host, director, producer, speaker, and moderator, further strengthening the journey towards becoming a wholesome entertainer and mentor. So, without much further ado, let me get on with it.
Hi, Neeraj, or I should say Mr. Gaba. Welcome to Masters Decoded podcast series. Really glad to have you on the show.
It's my pleasure to be here on Masters Decoded with you, Anis. Thank you so much for having me over. And, whatever I've seen of Masters Decoded really seems like something very exciting. And the kind of people that you interview and the kind of people you have these conversations with, my. Have you left any of the streams? Have you left anybody who should be here and isn't here yet?
There's a huge list for sure. I would love to get them on, but thank you for those kind words. Really appreciate that. And thank you for taking time. Thank you for taking time out because I know you are a busy person. You are doing a lot. And talking about doing a lot, you've had pleasure and an experience to judge right from children to grown-ups and even couples, by the way, on ramp and doing various things. So, how was that experience? It must be very different.
Yeah, what to say? I'm very multifaceted and I can do a lot of things. No, it is, as we say that when life brings opportunities to you and when they're aligned to your swadharma, I'm a firm believer of swadharma. So swadharma, just for the audiences, it means something which is very aligned to your aptitude of life, aptitude of being. So I don't have any children of my own. However, I am a child myself. I am 44 years old, but I don't consider myself a day older than a 4-year-old. I can still jump couches. I can still go ahead and pull somebody's hair. I can do all of that. And I love it. And I think, when you say from children to grown-ups to couples, I have always believed that we all somewhere find this personality of ours in childhood itself.
Yep.
And then slowly and gradually the layers keep getting added on. And when you're a child, you are the most honest form of energy you can ever get to interact with. Yep. So it becomes mandatory in a way that you need to actually be not physically, but you actually need to be mentally, emotionally, psychologically bare naked in front of them for them to force that connect with you. And I'm very, very, very blessed and grateful that there have been times when I've gone ahead and mentored 250 kids from the age group of 6 to 12. 6 to 12.
Wow.
And with each one of them, the connect has been as if I had known them for God knows how long. Maybe because I just go in there not with the purpose of work. I go in there with the purpose of, okay, you know what? We all have come to play here. Let's have a great time. And I think that kind of corresponds. So moving on from children to grown-ups, I myself am a grown-up. When you get these operational and technical expertise and you get a little bit of an exposure, then things kind of start falling into place. And grown-ups and couples, I think they just become the second you, and then you kind of start because you've done so much of work otherwise, and you have gone ahead and met people from various walks of life because I've worked in 5 continents. I have lived there. So it kind of just helps when you know people from varied backgrounds, you emotionally become very intelligent. So your relatability to people, relatability to audiences, relatability to people who you're working with, it kind of exponentially grows. That's why I tell everybody, if you really want to come into your own, you must travel. you must live on your own, because those are the things that make you a person of yourself. And once you do that, you go through all that is required to come into your own. Then you're able to, attend to other people's needs better. You become more empathetic. Yep. So I think if I had to give you that one word, it will be the honest source of energy and empathy. These will be the two words that I'll go by from children to couples.
Very well said, sir. And the reason why you've been in front of them is because you've been as a judge or a mentor across various platforms, whether it is being a director at the Lakme Fashion Week, the show director, or judging the MTV's Next Top Model. So, being a judge and mentor is a very different thing, but being a judge puts you in a tough spot because you will be breaking hearts, whether, again, it's a child to a couple to a grown-up. What goes on in your mind? Because, it's easy to sit on that judge seat and people will curse the judges and say, that guy or that person took me out and I really hate that person. I'm sure there's a lot of those emotions going on in your mind as well. Talk about that. Like, how's that experience been?
Obviously, like I said earlier as well, we all are human beings, and somewhere when we start connecting to another human, there are those chords that kind of, you align with them, you start feeling for them, whether you're a judge, you're a mentor, whatever it is. So how my personal process is, because most of the properties that I go and judge, 90% of the cases, I'm the mentor as well in those properties. So whether it was India's Next Top Model, whether it was Hamleys Ramp Camp, whether it is me going ahead and directing shows at Lakme Fashion Week, whether it is going ahead and doing a Shaadi Fit show wherein I was mentoring couples. So when they come to a stage of a wrong word, I don't like the word judging because I'm nobody to judge anybody. However, when a person, when you're in a position to go ahead and, kind of just say, okay, these move forward and these kind of stay back.
Yep.
What happens is because you have mentored them yourself, so you have given an equal insight and equal exposure and equal everything to each one of them. Now, it is basis their capability of how much they have been able to imbibe it. So when I'm sitting on that place, when I'm sitting on that in that situation, my thing is that, I need to see everybody with equal eyes, because I have given myself equally to each one of them. And fortunately or unfortunately, these decisions happen how you are in that moment.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, at times you are right on the decision. At times you're not. At times the person who was supposed to be the best, who you thought while you were mentoring, they don't get that in the moment. And at times who you thought somebody may just kind of, mediocrely just pass on, they suddenly shine. So that's what goes on. I just go in the moment. So I just go back in the moment. Mentoring, I give them all. When I'm sitting on that chair, then it is as if I'm seeing them for the first time.
I'll come back to this decision and the pros and cons later on. But I want to take you back into a time machine and take you back a few years when you were a crew member in Sahara.
How many years back are we going? Sahara, so I mentally go there.
Going back to your cabin crew days or going back to your airline days.
Sahara Airlines. My God, after how many years I've mentioned this name. All right, I'm in Sahara now. Okay.
Did you plan this out? Like you will be a judge and you will be doing what you're doing today? What was going on? Why?
If I may ask you, when you go back so many years, did you ever think you will have 3 startups, one in EdTech and 2 others which you recently just mentioned, and you'll be hosting a podcast? I think that answers your question. We all evolve. Life is all about evolution. So whenever I meet young people, who are in the age group of whether they are 17 to 21, where they're kind of just finding their feet, I always go ahead and tell them, do not worry about what you're doing. Just keep doing. Even if it means you're doing 100 things which have no hand or feet together, do it. Because it is that kind of exposure that will slowly start funneling down to where you're supposed to be. Life is nothing else. Life is when you start it, you're starting it at the base of the funnel. And then slowly and gradually you start reaching the tip of it. Life itself brings you to the tip. You don't need to do anything. Like I earlier mentioned, Swadharma, that Swadharma is that living force in you which governs your aptitude. And that aptitude takes you to where you're supposed to be. So, but do not stop yourself from experiencing life. That's the only condition.
Okay.
Whether it's a failure, so-called a failure, because I've never considered anything as a failure. I have always seen everything as an experience. It didn't work out for me. Man, good enough.
Yeah. Why did you choose being in the airline industry? What prompted you to start there?
Okay, so this is a very how should I say? It was more like a revolting decision.
Okay.
So, I come from a middle-class Punjabi background. My father and my grandfather is no more. My father is still there. There is almost like, I think, 70 years old retail. You know how you have those cloth markets.
Yep.
So they own one of the stores in Delhi. And so when I was a child, I would always obviously go to the store. And whenever I'll go there, Anis, you will not believe, in the first 10 minutes, a child will start getting a headache, which was unheard of. Why is a child getting a headache? And I'm sitting there. So my father will do one thing. He will leave his client. He will attend to me first.
Wow.
He'll say, I need you out of the system because till the time you are going to be there, you're going to create havoc for me. You won't even allow me to attend to my client. So since childhood, it was one thing that, this family business is not for me at all. I mean, whatsoever, it's a settled space, your own business. You don't have to look for anything else. You can just go, and I'm the oldest son of the family. I could have easily just gone and sat there. So because of this, again, Swadharma. Sorry, I'll keep bringing this word because I'm realizing how integral it has become a part of my life. So I think somewhere my aptitude, since I was a child in school, it has always been about being a speaker. It has always been about representing. It has always been a very, somebody who would take on responsibility kind of stuff. So whether you talk of being a prefect, being a monitor, being a head boy, everything had been there.
Yeah.
So I realized, I can do much more with my life. And then I kind of in 12th, I had, in Delhi, we have 12th. In other places, I don't know what to call it, but it's +2. I've done my 12th in science. All my 5 subjects, I had distinctions. So the whole family went, okay, you know what? If you don't want to come to the store, why don't you go ahead and become a doctor? Because I had biology. Okay. And I was like, oh God, they're just not leaving me. They will let me be. So anyway, because that time you're a child and whatever the family is saying, you have to so I went ahead and there was this one institute which used to send you study material. So I said, okay. So they were paying for it and I used to come, I'll read, I won't read. The mind and heart was not there.
Mm-hmm.
And then from somewhere, I was kind of researching on my own as well to what should work for me. And I came across hotel management.
Okay.
And I was like, this sounds something like me. Like I said, I come from a very middle-class Punjabi background. So public relations, advertising, and all these things that today's kids, they know why they're, 7, 8 years old. I had no clue even there are these careers that exist.
Yep.
The only thing I knew that time was anything that breaks away the mold is hotel management. So I was like, okay, that's it. This is what I'm going to go ahead and do because this is where I find myself alignment. Okay. And thankfully, it kind of became a good decision for me. Mm-hmm. And because I don't think I would have been a good doctor, for sure.
Thank you for that.
you know yourself. I would have taken 4 years to go ahead and prepare for that exam. 5th year, maybe I would have gotten admission in some college remotely. So anyway, coming back to hotel management. So but the moment I went there, I have done it from IHM, Indian Institute of Hotel Management, not Indian Institute. And the moment I started going through the curriculum, the classes, and everything, it just felt like, oh, you know what? This is something that's going to actually be a part of my life. In terms of what they were making me as a person, not the technicalities. whether it was food production, food and beverage, and housekeeping, and all those, they never used to come in handy to me. I used to be always like, okay, you know what, these have to do. But the way they were bringing out my overall personality, because I could see the change in myself, I said, okay, you know what, this is working out. Immediately after that, I got, that time, and I'm talking of year 1998. For the audiences, just to know, I have said earlier as well, I'm 44 years old. So in year 1998, the applications from Sahara Airline came out. There were lakhs and lakhs of applicants. And like I said, once you're aligned to your Swadharma, things start happening. There were only 16 people selected from those lakhs of applications. And Mr. Gaba was one.
Wow. Building on this further, Mr. Gaba, now...
Sorry, I give long answers.
No, you're perfectly fine. Don't worry. You went ahead and did pursue that. You completed your graduation at the same time, apart from doing your hotel management.
You are very well researched, Denise, I must say. Very well researched. Good on you, man.
Thank you. But you didn't stay long enough there, and you chose to go into you spent 2 years, but then you chose to go into a sales and marketing roles, and you did various careers between what you then became with I Am She, right? Which is the India pageant for the Miss Feminine.
It was Miss Universe India.
Yeah.
Sushmita Sen finalist.
Yeah. So how, from that I Am She to Sahara Airlines, like what was going on in between that, specifically in your mind, your career? Was it like you said earlier, just keep doing, or was it?
So during the last year of my hotel management, I lost my mother to cancer, and somewhere, like I said, hotel management, those technicalities would never attract me. It was the personality development that I was going through would always attract me, and that's how I kind of moved on to Sahara. I didn't even do any work in a hotel.
Okay.
I mean, my industrial training happened at the Sheraton in Delhi, and I only know how I've done that training. That certificate was required for me to complete the course. So, anyways, moving on to then from Sahara, what happened is, within 2 years, I realized that, when you keep evolving, you keep realizing there is more to me that I can get from life and I can give to life. So that's exactly what started happening. As much as I have learned, when I say the word emotional intelligence, I think I have learned 80% of my emotional intelligence working on Sahara Airlines. I'd like to elaborate a little bit on this for your audiences as well. What happens is when you're flying as a crew, you get to meet people from various walks of life. You get to meet, and I'm talking of year 1998. That time in India, airlines were only traveled by either luxury or somebody who had to urgently reach somewhere. It was not like today, wherein anybody can go ahead. A train ticket is 2,500 rupees and a flight ticket is 3,500 rupees, so you won't even think twice.
Yeah.
That time, there was a lot of gap in between those prices. So the kind of people that we used to get there was in economy. Either it will be somebody, who really has kind of once in a while, they want to have that experience of flying. So that kind of a flyer, or somebody who urgently needs to be somewhere, somebody is fast away or something, they need to be there. And on the other, or there were regular flyers as well. And on the other side, in the business class, we used to have these politicians, Bollywood actors, corporates, honchos, everybody you can name it.
Yep.
So, when you get to address and understand these varied psychologies, you really start relating to them. So the moment you will see them, your kind of intuition becomes very strong. You start relating to them at a much faster pace. And I think that kind of really helped me come into my own. And with that kind of an internal evolution, I said, you know what, it's time that I externally evolve as well. And like I said, middle class Punjabi family always had this one thing that I want to travel international. I want to go ahead and cross that international airport ka gate, go in there and see what happens at that counter and after that counter.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm telling you, one of my aunts used to travel. So every day she'd go to London. We'll go to the airport, drop her to the airport gate, and then we'll just keep standing there wondering what she must be doing inside. So that thing was always there. And kind of then God brought forward an opportunity, and I went to Singapore. Then from Singapore, something else manifested. I moved to the Australia. From Australia, I moved to the US. And because I had groomed myself during those Sahara days, the personality had developed. So all these positions that happened, they were in sales and business development, though they were in IT. And today I can go ahead and say that, oh, you know what? I was only doing it for money. But they gave me the international exposure as well. Like we all, with ages, we all have a limited understanding of where we are. So my limited understanding at that point in time was, you know what? This is giving me money. This is giving me international exposure. This is adding onto my CV. And I always wanted to be abroad. Why not? So hence, and personality was developed. I could speak well. I could present myself well. And that time, that was the major thing that was required. Technicalities, I tell everybody, any organization you go and join, technicalities, they can pour into you. It's your attitude, your aptitude, your basic sense of being that nobody can give you. That you need to groom yourself. So hence those IT things happened. And then after a while, like I said, that I was not feeling very aligned to the IT anyways. It was more for being abroad, earning that money. And then my MBA happened because I had done only my graduation in India. And if one wants to evolve internationally, and if I, so I decided, I said, okay, you know what? And then I ended up becoming one of the first students who were given a scholarship, a part scholarship though, at Leeds Metropolitan University. I was to write an essay. And thankfully, I got that. So that kind of helped. And I did my MBA from Leeds Business School.
Why did you choose the glamour industry and the media industry?
Why did I choose the glamour and the media industry? Okay. So when I was flying for Sahara, I had gotten my portfolio done. That time, crew jobs are always like very, when you enter the airport, everybody looks at you. So all of that was always there in the head. So I got my folio done and I distributed the pictures. And a few places started calling me.
Okay.
But then it came a time, while this thing was parallelly going on, I decided I'm going to move international. So I left it in between. But once, as they say, it's stuck in your head. So once I was doing IT, even after my MBA, when I came back to India, I joined one of Reliance's organizations, which was in mobile gaming. And so I continued after my MBA as well. However, I was in city of Mumbai, the land of so-called opportunities and the land of cinema, the land of art. So it kind of was, again, I would say a natural progression wherein I was like, what am I doing in IT? Why am I doing this? Again, always the motive, I don't know, maybe because it was that middle-class Punjabi upbringing, money was always that one thing that always motivated. So then came a time, I was 30 years of age by then, Anish, when I came back. And this was 2005 to 2007, I think I worked with them. So almost I was around 28 to 30. And I was like, you know what? Enough is enough. If I don't take a change now, I will never be able to do it. And hence, and then I kind of moved on to other things and slowly and gradually, see, on resume, everybody gets to see what are the major achievements. Nobody fills in those gaps of when you were going through the dump. Exactly. What you saw IMC. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's just in between.
Interesting.
But again, I am very proud of my failures.
No, everybody should be actually, because like you said earlier, failures are experiences which you learn from and they are not actually failures. I can put up my hand and I failed multiple times within my career, but that's okay. And
but don't you agree we all should fail sometimes?
We should fail every day. We should fail every day. I would say in something or the other. Whether you're fixing your own T-shirt or whether you're fixing your household chores or you're fixing your own food. If you fail, that's okay. You learn from it.
Exactly. So my today's youth, when I see, they're very scared of failures. That's why they don't go ahead and take a lot of chances in life. And that's kind of, really irks me. I always tell them, what will happen? What will happen? You will only learn from it. So please go for it.
Building on this further, when you started in the media and the glamour industry, it's a tough, brutal industry. If you agree or disagree on that, there are many eyes looking at you. There are many people who are looking to take your job away because it's a industry which is big, but at the same time, it's not a place for everyone. Also, I would say. I don't know if you agree to that. How was your building up that journey?
At the risk of sounding very crude and rude, I have always been one of those people who's always believed, you can say, a bit too much in himself.
Okay.
I have believed that you'll be able to do something wrong to me if I allow you to be wrong to me.
Interesting.
So yeah. First of all, I'm a very, very, very pro person when it comes to preparation. So if I am to do something, I would have thought of at least 10 scenarios before I go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think somewhere that kind of has always kept me prepped. And slowly and gradually, Anis, one thing which has really helped me overcome any of these so-called obstacles is my furthering belief in spirituality. I'm not talking of religion because they are two very different things. People majorly confuse them. So spirituality, just for your audiences, if somebody would like to kind of have an elaboration on it, it's something that takes you more to you. It takes you more inside. It helps you believe that your life on the inside is what matters. Because life on the outside is only a manifestation of how you feel on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So the more I started realizing that, you know what, if something wrong is happening on the outside, I am the source of that outside wrong happening. Hence, I am the end of bearing that wrong on the outside happening.
Interesting.
So I am the source and I am the end is one of the formulas that I swear by, I live by. Because anything that comes back to you, somewhere or the other, you had initiated that in your life. So coming to your question, to answer that directly, have I ever been fearful of somebody coming and taking my place? I don't have any fear of that sort. If somebody comes and replaces me, if somebody comes and takes my position, that means they were always better to do it.
Yep.
In people's eyes, in perception. What I do the best possible, whatever I can do. And I know that because I know I go with so much of preparation. But if I'm not living up to somebody's mark, that doesn't mean that I'm no good. It just means that their marking is different than how I mark myself. So I should never go ahead and undermine myself. However, I take learnings out of them. If there is something that was supposed to happen and hasn't happened, I will sit and reflect on it. I will not take it negatively. I will take it more as something that will add on, that will be like a correctional thing, if there is a correction that requires to be done. Because we all live in a society where there is politics and all of that does happen. But at the same time, one needs to see through the things which are politicized and which will help you grow. So once you find that seed, I think then you can, maintain your centricity. And I've always believed, if not this, something else will happen. I was not born with this. I will not go with this. So.
I did watch your TEDx speaking on unfollow, and you did do a lot of other following series on Instagram and on other platforms on using that theme of unfollow. Looking at your last 5 to 10 years, or especially the last decade, how do you feel technology has influenced or enhanced what you do? And especially whether it's the shows which you do or conduct, whether it's the Lakme Fashion Week, for example, or your day-to-day?
For me, technology has a two-pronged, I wouldn't call it approach, but has a two-pronged existence. It can be a blessing and it can be not a curse, but it can be a hindrance. Today's world, with the attention spans going shorter and shorter and shorter, courtesy technology.
Yeah.
However, that devil also is bringing in a response to that devilishness of it, wherein it is opening up a lot of paradigms, opening up a lot of centers for people to optimize their reach. So the past, I won't say the past decade. I will, for me, it majorly started in around 2014, 2013, 2013. So yeah, in the past 8 years, it's almost a decade. You were right there. My bad. I didn't calculate. I was not going 2021 in my head yet.
We wish 21 and 20 never existed for sure.
Listen, no, don't even go there. I'll start crying. Then your audience like, who did you bring on? We thought he was going to motivate us.
No.
It has. For me, there have been very good days, and obviously we go through bad days. No, coming back to your question, yeah. So technology has helped me. If today there is an acceptability of brand Mr. Gaba, I will give it at least, if not more, 40% of credit. That it's because of this that I could go ahead and create a brand outside of that umbrella of the channels that I was associated with. So today, though I have not done India's Next Top Model in the past 2 years because the show is not happening, it has not led to Mr. Gaba brand going down or away. Shaadi Fit was one season, but it's not that anything has happened to the brand. So what I'm trying to say here is that because of this technological reach and because of the connect that one could forge, honestly, the tag word, the underlined word here is honesty. I have always been exactly what I am in my real life on all my social media as well. There is never, ever even an ounce of. So if you said that you heard my unfollow, if you will go back even 6 years and listen to any of my interviews or read any of my interviews, the conversation will be exactly the same. It will be the same tonality. It may have evolved a certain bit right now. And because I come from a space of awareness, with whatever limited awareness I have, there is that homogeneity. And I think it is once people find that true source in you, then they also evolve with you. They don't leave you just like that. So has technology helped the brand stay alive? Definitely it has. However, the credit goes equally to technology and the content that is being put on technology.
I want to come back to one point where I said I will come back, which is the decision piece. And, you had to, because being a judge, you had to take a lot of decisions. Are there decisions which you look back and say, I could have, probably I would not use that word repent, but, I wish I didn't do it. I didn't take that decision because...
When I'm sitting on those judge seats?
Yes.
Never. I'll tell you what, because never. Because there have been chances wherein I have disagreed to, because there's a panel that's sitting there. Yeah. And, or even if there are places where I've gone ahead and individually judged something. I'm very clear on one thing, that this is what I believe in. And I will fight tooth and nail for it. And if it was, let's say, because we were 5 of us, if the 3 of them go on the other side of it, and it's just 2 of us, then at least in my head, I know I gave it my best. Okay. So there will never be a time wherein I will go ahead and repent, because then I know in my head that it is not my decision. It is majority's decision. But if it is a decision that's to be taken by me, no. Because I know that I'm playing with somebody's life.
Yeah.
And then I won't be able to go back and sleep. I have a little bit thing called conscience. So
no, it's a massive thing. Building on this further, are there any moments which you look back? Now, I know I'm not putting you on a pedestal that you should retire. Don't get me wrong in that question. But the point
I can't even retire. Especially the way the past 2 years have gone, I can't retire.
No one should, for sure. But, are there moments which you look back and say, that motivates you and saying, keep doing Mr. Gaba, keep doing what you're doing right now?
It's always the things that I have not been able to undertake because of whether my laziness or because of the way I perceive things can be, and they were not able to manifest like that. Like I said, I have lived, I believe in living my life as I am the source and I am the end. Somebody listening to this conversation may think, oh God, how much of this person says I.
Yeah.
because I don't believe in going ahead and putting any kind of responsibility on anybody else for my life. And that's where the I comes from. So it is not out of any ego. It is out of sense of responsibility for this life.
Yep.
So no, there are definitely moments wherein I go ahead and I am kind of lamenting. I am really low and I'm really out about it. And I'm like, okay, you know what is happening? Mind is not working. Things are not getting aligned. What am I not doing? What am I doing? What should I be doing better? Why is it not coming to me? All of those emotions do come. All of them. Because till the time I do not live through those emotions, I do not sublimate those emotions, I will not be able to see a clearer sky. So as they say that, you know what, till the time you haven't lived your fears, you will never be fearless.
Yeah.
So similar goes, and I come from a complete understanding that if you're feeling like a failure today, please go ahead and feel it. It is very important for you to undergo that feeling. Because only when you overcome that feeling will you be able to overcome that failure.
Very interesting perspective. Building on something which you mentioned earlier, and you did speak about your dad, where he would take care of you when you would be in your store. But talking largely about your family and friends, how do you see? Because you are an uber example where people today feel. And in this pandemic, right, a lot of people have lost jobs from hospitality industry or from media or many industries, right? And they say that my career has ended and I can't do anything. And you are an Uber example who has switched 3 careers, literally. Okay, if I look at it, starting from a hospitality airlines to moving into IT, business development to moving into media, it's been a completely a 3 switch careers, right? And you've done well. It's not that you restarted, you actually went up and up. But the family plays a big role. Friends and families play a big role in helping you go through that phase. Any perspectives about how family and friends have helped you?
Okay, I'll start with friends. So there was a time in between, like I said, that, I had that time when I left that IT job and I moved into which is like the dark phase, which nobody sees in the TV. So that was a time wherein it had come to my survival.
Wow.
And I have said this in a lot of interviews, so it's not that I'm kind of ashamed about it because I feel really proud. So survival in terms of, because I was moving, like you very rightly said, I was moving into an industry wherein it is not just about what you know, it is who you know and how well you know and how well you're able to network also matters. So I kind of came into this media and entertainment with, I won't say a wrong set of people, but I kind of misjudged the situation. And it really took me back a few years on my independent standing. And at that time, the only thing that kept me going was my friend circle. Not even once. So, when you are earning very well, and, you're spending, you're hosting, you're doing everything in life, and suddenly you go through this phase where there's no incoming that is happening. And you actually retract yourself, from a lot of things that you were generally doing in your life. So friends, so-called acquaintances, they can't be called friends. They kind of back off in those times.
Yep.
I am very fortunate. I have 15 very close friends. Not even one of them, not even one went back.
Wow.
They all stood by me like a rock. So, yes, it is very, very, very important. And again, I think it comes from a space wherein when you are true to yourself, you are truer to your relationship. And when you're truer to your relationship, then that yo-yo thing of relationships, it kind of remains a little central. It doesn't go extremes. So I think that honesty in relationships and honesty with self, it helps then. As far as my family goes, my family, like I said, is a middle-class Punjabi family with very limited understanding of how things happen on the outside. They have always been into business. Like my father, till the time my India's Next Top Model first hoarding did not come out in Delhi, and some cousin called him up. Oh, we saw him on the hoarding. Wow. Till that day, my father, if anybody will pick up the phone on him and ask him what does he do, his answer would be, I don't know what does he do, but he makes enough to take care of himself. He had no freaking clue.
Okay.
For me to even, expect anything from him would have been an unreasonable thing. However, my younger brother, who lives in the US, was a big, I have a youngest brother as well who lives in Delhi with my father. Their names are Amit and Asmik. And whatever they could be, they were. They were very thick as brothers, and even my father. It's just that limited set of understanding, and here they had kind of evolved in. So they knew what I was going through, and they were there.
Very interesting. On that note, if there are any parting thoughts for people to, because you've built your career, as I said, you've had opportunity to jump careers, and there are many people now, either they are starting their career or thinking about moving into different careers. What will be your guidance or feedback be to them?
My guidance to them will be, when you look at yourself in the mirror, just tell yourself the statement at least 10 times a day if you're going through hardships, or generally also. Don't worry. I'm there with you. Just look at yourself in the mirror and just tell this to yourself. Do not worry at all. I am there with you. I will not let anything happen to you. I'm there with you. See the magic.
Very interesting. On that note, Mr. Gaba, it's been a
you forgot
pleasure.
For a second.
No, I'm lost of words because of this deep thought. When you were saying that, it was almost somebody saying this to me as well. So it was a deep thought. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate you taking time out. It's been an absolute pleasure. And please do stay safe. And thank you for taking time out.
You too. Please, you and all the audiences, please continue being safe. Continue taking care of yourselves. We are almost post-corona, if I may say so. However, we never know when their muted versions come out. So please be very careful. Please follow any guidelines that your governments are telling you to follow, because it is very important. It is all about personal responsibility. I have said this from day one. To handle corona is to be personally responsible. If you are personally responsible, you will ensure that it doesn't spread. So please be personally responsible for everything, corona and your life. And do not, if I may say a parting line, please start taking responsibility of your actions. Whether it is good, whether it is bad, whether it is ugly, whether it is fantastic. Do not blame the bads of your life on somebody else, and do not take the credit of everything good about your life on yourself. Because we are human beings, we are social animals. At the end of the day, if we are to live a meaningful life, we need to live it with responsibility.
Very well said, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening in. And we close yet another episode of Masters Decoded. If you've enjoyed the episode, please, you can help us out by sharing it on social media. I would personally appreciate that. It's how we can reach more listeners, and the more listeners we have, the more awesome guests I can get in touch and convince to participate in these conversations that are a joy to have for me, and I hope they are a joy for you to listen as well. You can also help a lot leaving reviews on iTunes or your podcast service of choice. Reviews are surprisingly helpful in supporting the podcast to get to more listeners. If this episode has intrigued you, I would request you to subscribe to the podcast to stay up to date and get notified to the future episodes. With that, I bid you and see you in the next episode.